This is part 4 of a multi-part series on Arabella Advisors, the third pillar of election integrity. Go to mgshow.link/Arabella to follow along and for more information. All links will be in the description.
The 1630 Fund, which is managed by Arabella Advisors, which is the largest Democrat dark money network in the country and considered public enemy number one.
Welcome to the next installment of Arabella Advisors, the third pillar of election integrity, part 4. Q told us, keep digging anon. So, we kept digging. A KGF, foreign and domestic dark money network, led by Arabella Advisors, is the main force changing the outcome of elections and more. All assets, F plus D, being deployed, foreign plus domestic, and they all have foundations and institutes for a reason, stupid. Before we can move forward, we must take a short detour to discuss how a 501c3 and 501c4 work in conjunction with one another through their respective organizations. On March 22, 1983, the Supreme Court ruled that a 501c3 organization may establish a separate 501c4 to expand its capacity to lobby beyond the limited expenditures allowed for a 501c3. 501c3 organizations, often referred to as public charities, may use tax-deductible donations to study essential policy issues and educate the public. Still, the amount of lobbying they may do is limited, and they are forbidden from supporting or opposing candidates for elective office. 501c4 organizations, often referred to as social welfare organizations, may participate in an unlimited amount of legislative lobbying and a limited amount of electoral activity. Still, they may not offer the incentive of a tax deduction to their contributors. As we stated previously, a 501c3 organization may join multiple 501c3 and 501c4 organizations for any purpose consistent with its exempt status, such as conducting research or preparing and publicizing materials on a current issue. A 501c3 may also join other 501c3 and 501c4s to lobby on issues. However, a 501c3 may not do anything indirectly through the group that it cannot do individually. It can participate in multiple 501c3s and 501c4s to exchange non-electoral information or sponsor educational programs on issues of interest to the groups. A 501c3 may also conduct voter registration, voter education, and get-out-the-vote activities, so long as these activities appear to be nonpartisan. Q Post 2807 asked us, who controls the distribution of funds? Who accounts for the funds? Who has access to the funds? Who really has access to the funds? Do funds return in the form of political donations? Do funds return in the form of massive donations to foundations and/or institutes? Do funds return in the form of offshore bank accounts for future payments, payoffs, replicate, environment, green, aid assist, etc.? No honest control in place, no checks and balances in place, no safeguards in place. Threat of an outsider becoming president, loss of control, trillions of dollars at stake, controlled by group of special interests, illusion of democracy. Welcome to the real world. We cannot afford to lose this rare opportunity to right the wrongs. We, the people, must reclaim what is rightfully ours. We must rise. We must fight. God bless the United States of America.
Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people. The Washington establishment and the financial and media corporations that fund it exist for only one reason: to protect and enrich itself. The establishment has trillions of dollars at stake in this election. For those who control the levers of power in Washington and for the global special interest, they partner with these people that don't have your good in mind. Our campaign represents a true existential threat like they haven't seen before. This is not simply another four-year election. This is a crossroads in the history of our civilization that will determine whether or not We, the people, reclaim control over our government. The political establishment that is trying to stop us is the same group responsible for our disastrous trade deals, massive illegal immigration, and economic and foreign policies that have bled our country dry. The political establishment has brought about the destruction of our factories and our jobs as they flee to Mexico, China, and other countries all around the world. It's a global power structure that is responsible for the economic decisions that have robbed our working class, stripped our country of its wealth, and put that money into the pockets of a handful of large corporations and political entities. This is a struggle for the survival of our nation, and this will be our last chance to save it. This election will determine whether we're a free nation or whether we have only the illusion of democracy, but are in fact controlled by a small handful of global special interests rigging the system, and our system is rigged. This is reality. You know it, they know it, I know it, and pretty much the whole world knows it. The Clinton machine is at the center of this power structure. We've seen this firsthand in the WikiLeaks documents, in which Hillary Clinton meets in secret with international banks to plot the destruction of U.S. sovereignty in order to enrich these global financial powers, her special interest friends, and her donors. Honestly, she should be locked up. The most powerful weapon deployed by the Clintons is the corporate media, the press. Let's be clear on one thing. The corporate media in our country is no longer involved in journalism. They're a political special interest, no different than any lobbyist or other financial entity with a total political agenda, and the agenda is not for you, it's for themselves. Anyone who challenges their control is deemed a sexist, a racist, a xenophobe. They will lie, and then again, they will do worse than that. They will do whatever's necessary. The Clintons are criminals, remember that. This is well documented, and the establishment that protects them has engaged in a massive cover-up of widespread criminal activity at the State Department and the Clinton Foundation in order to keep the Clintons in power. They knew they would throw every lie they could at me and my family and my loved ones. They knew they would stop at nothing to try to stop me. Nevertheless, I take all of these slings and arrows gladly for you. I take them for our movement so that we can have our country back. I knew this day would arrive. It's only a question of when. And I knew the American people would rise above it and vote for the future they deserve. The only thing that can stop this corrupt machine is you. The only force strong enough to save our country is us. The only people brave enough to vote out this corrupt establishment is you, the American people. Our great civilization has come upon a moment of reckoning. I didn't need to do this, folks, believe me. I built a great company, and I had a wonderful life. I could have enjoyed the fruits and benefits of years of successful business deals and businesses for myself and my family, instead of going through this absolute horror show of lies, deceptions, malicious attacks. Who would have thought? I'm doing it because this country has given me so much, and I feel so strongly that it's my turn to give back to the country that I love. I'm doing this for the people and for the movement, and we will take back this country for you, and we will make America great again.
List out all who have foundations. Why is this relevant? How can donations be used personally? Analyze the filings. Who is charged with overseeing this? IRS? Corrupt? Politically motivated? The level of corruption in our country, and most others, is so severe There is only one way. Arabella Advisors, for-profit, nonprofit child organizations. All Due Respect, nonprofit. Forsythia Foundation, nonprofit. Hopewell Fund, nonprofit. Mountain Philanthropies, for-profit. New Venture Fund, NVF, nonprofit. 1630 Fund, 1630 Fund, nonprofit. Windward Fund, nonprofit. Some of Arabella Advisors, for-profit, nonprofit clients. D.N. Batten Foundation, nonprofit. Forsythia Foundation, nonprofit. Hopewell Fund, nonprofit. Impact Assets, Inc., nonprofit. New Venture Fund, NVF, nonprofit. North Fund, nonprofit. 1630 Fund, 1630 Fund, nonprofit. Windward Fund, nonprofit. Hiding the money with fake groups? Arabella Advisors' fiscal sponsorship means sponsoring hundreds of fake groups via Arabella's 5 in-house nonprofits. These fake groups are little more than websites designed to look like standalone nonprofits. Since the Arabella Network's inception, it's sponsored at least 350+ such groups. These fake groups rarely disclose their relationship to Arabella Advisors or any of its 4 in-house nonprofits. Nonetheless, many accept donations from the public, which go to Arabella's nonprofits. This system also allows these groups to hide their funders since it's virtually impossible to trace individual grants to Arabella's 4 nonprofits to any particular fake group. Covert private funding of the 2020 election. We have covered the F foreign assets deployed in 2020. Now we will touch on the D domestic assets deployed. Did someone say money laundering? The Arabella-run New Venture Fund provided close to $25 million in funding to the Center for Technology and Civic Life CTCL, a left-of-center nonprofit that passed roughly $350 million to thousands of elections offices in the form of COVID-19 relief funds ahead of the 2020 election, money which originated with Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg. The New Venture Fund's grant was CTCL's second-largest donation in 2020. CTCL's private funding of election offices was widely criticized. In January 2022, the Wall Street Journal editorial board called for the practice to be banned by the states. Zuckerbucks shouldn't pay for elections because it fans mistrust to let private donors fund official voting duties. The Capital Research Center, which publishes Influence Watch, has noted in its analysis of CTCL spending that the group consistently gave bigger grants and more money per capita to counties that voted for Joe Biden in the 2020 election. In Georgia, for instance, CTCL grants averaged $1.41 per capita in counties won by President Donald Trump versus $5.33 in counties won by Biden. In essence, private financing of government election offices under the guise of COVID-19 relief skewed voter turnout in the 2020 election and may have tipped the presidential election to Joe Biden. The chief culprit was Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg, who poured $350 million into one nonprofit, the Center for Technology and Civic Life, CTCL. CTCL then distributed grants to hundreds of county and city elections officials in 47 states and the District of Columbia. Summer 2021, the flood of Zuckerberg bucks caught the attention of House Republicans, who sent CTCL a letter on June 21, 2021, demanding the group explain where its $350 million in COVID-19 relief funds went, since less than 1% of those funds were spent on personal protective equipment. They have also called on CTCL to publish its Form 990 for public review. As a result of the letter and public pressure, a dozen state legislatures have responded to these revelations with bills to protect free and fair elections by prohibiting or restricting private funding of government election offices. Not all the states banned the Zuckerberg bucks. Some only regulated or restricted private funding for elections offices. Believe it or not, we are winning. But we the people need to keep the pressure on by sharing this series to educate the masses on Arabella Advisors, the third pillar of election integrity. 12 states down, 38 to go. This has been the fourth of a multi-part series on Arabella Advisors. Stay tuned for part 5 of Arabella Advisors, the third pillar of election integrity.